if she wasn't yelling at you, I wouldn't have gotten mad and, I'm getting kicked out again. So I started blaming her, like, I'm getting kicked out for you. Like, come on, let's.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Next Wave Warrior Living TV. I'm your host, Michael Adams, and I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Hollie Laban, and Hollie works alongside me as a Second Mesa Day School teacher and longtime friend. And I'm excited because Hollie, has not only been making me laugh a lot recently. She's just an amazing personality that has some stories to share, and so we're gonna jump in today just to get to know Hollie and bring some amazing insights to you. So Hollie, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good. Just waking up early because I wake up early. Everyone.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Hollie Laban. I'm San Clan from the village of Tewa. I'm a teacher. This is probably, I think, my 6th year that I'll be going as a teacher. I have my 2 children, Okwa Navamsa and Akela Austin, and my significant other, he's in Navamsa. But that's really just, I guess, general idea who I am, but
yeah, and tell us about that little TikTok fascination, right?
Yeah, so right now I'm on TikTok. Mike will insert a video here.
Yep, I'll toss them there.
I always see YouTubers do that, and they're like talking, I'll insert it here, and so insert it there. Just kidding.
Okay, got it.
But yeah,
I like the view.
You do?
Yes.
You're my best view.
Me.
Grab my hand. Grab my hand. Now we wait. We wait for that. Now we go. Keep holding my hand. Keep holding my hand. Keep moving. Keep your view. Why is your hand slipping?
Yeah, I kind of got on this TikTok thing. It was mostly just because when I first started, it was this COVID thing had started, and my boyfriend had to quarantine, and I was kind of scared and stressed, and so I just started doing, because when I would do it, I wouldn't think about it and just kind of focus on that. So it was kind of like my stress reliever. And so it was just kind of, I didn't want to like post things, but so I started just doing videos and just sending them to like you or to Ara and JC and my mom and them. And so then when they would, respond like, this is funny, you should post it. That's when I started posting things. So I just wasn't sharing it at first. And then once I started getting good feedback, then that's when I was like, okay, well, I guess this is okay. But I'm setting myself up for disaster if I end up taking food. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should stop. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's really cool. But at least from what I've seen is, I don't know how TikTok works too much, but to be able to grab the attention of other people, right? You have to have at least some talent and ability to make people laugh or make people think or make people have an opinion on something in like 30 seconds or less. And that's what I've seen so far, is you being able to make people laugh.
Don't you like it, Angelica? No
voiceovers,
thanks. I'm too old for that silly kid stuff. Too old?
There's some good ones, so I'll make
I
sure
got
to put them
responsibilities
in
now.
here right now.
Responsibilities?
But,
That means I'm not allowed to have fun
making
anymore for
people
the
laugh,
rest of my life.
Also come from a background where, you're the oldest of how many siblings?
I'm the oldest. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. So I'm the oldest out of 5.
You. Okay. And being the oldest child, I remember your sister, your youngest sister, Boo Boo, being able to share at one time that, she gives credit to you for, being able to raise her. And I know that you still have your parents around, in your life. yet, you know, the circumstances in which you grew up in were maybe not always the, you know, the prettiest of pictures. And so I wanted to kind of bring that around for, you know, helping people to understand, you know, where exactly you started from or how you were raised.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know Boo Boo is like my child, but I think that was before. Now we have more of a sister relationship now. But I guess just my earliest memory of when I kind of realized things were bad was, and I didn't really think about it until junior high, because we had a writing assignment, and they told us to write about something. I don't remember what the prompt was. But so I wrote about this situation that had happened. But and this is kind of where I realized that things weren't as good as I thought they were. You know, I kind of realized that, okay, this is something not normal.
Before that time, you were kind of just growing up as a young elementary kid, happy, and and you know, you just thought your family was just, you know, that's just how my family is. And then right around junior high, you got a prompt to write about, you know, how your family is, and at that point, it made you understand that some things in your family were not good.
Yeah. I mean, so once that situation happened, then that's when my eyes opened. But I finally started talking about it in junior high. So I don't really remember how old I was, but I know I was little. And the reason why I know I was little is because I couldn't climb back into my window. I was too small to climb back in. But like you had said, you know, when growing up, when I was small, I didn't realize, you know, these things were happening. You know, I was happy. I was a happy kid. And I do have a lot of happy memories growing up with my mom and my dad. But this particular situation, well, I guess before that, we would always be in my room. And, you know, different parents would come, and, you know, the kids would come in my room, and they would lock the door and we would be in our room. So this one night I finally got brave and was like, well, I'm gonna climb out the window. I want to see what's going on. You know, we're always locked in here. So I had climbed out the window, and that's when we lived in those brick houses before they broke them down and got these new ones my mom and them have. But I had climbed out, and I was small because the other kids had to help me climb out. And so it was dark and it was night, and I don't really know how late it was, but it was dark, and I could hear people outside. So I went to go see, and I climbed out, and I just kind of walked along the wall, and that's what I wrote about. It's like I remember feeling the wall, the brick, it was cold, and I was just kind of walking alongside it, and went to because there was lights on at the end, and I remember I got there and I looked, and I don't really know if it was this extreme, but this is just how I remember it. But I just seen people fighting, like really fighting, and like they were just fighting, like it was like a big fight, and everyone was fighting, and I got scared, and I ran back to my room, and I couldn't get back in because I was little and I was trying to get up, and the other kids were trying to pull my hands up, and it took a while, and I was scared because I didn't want to go in the door because they get mad at me. But anyway, eventually I got up and I got back in, and I think I said I needed the restroom or something. So they unlocked the door, and I went out, and I remember going in the bathroom and then just seeing these ladies. They were just all beat up. They were just all bloody, and they were just sitting in there, and they were crying. And I went in there, and my mom, she was pretty beat up, and I just didn't know what was happening because, like I said, I didn't know anything. I thought everything was fine, and then I see that, and then I walk into the bathroom seeing these ladies, and it just that was kind of like my eye opener to, what was really going on. But I wrote about that in junior high, and that's when I started kind of, I guess, not really speaking out, but I guess coming to the realization that, it's been like this for a while. And but it was just crazy. But that's always kind of like my very first memory of when I kind of realized things weren't the way they should be.
And so you're a young junior high lady, and there was something going on in the family, which would be, like a party, right?
Yeah.
And with adults. And here you're with, a bunch of the kids, and it was just kind of normal for this to happen on a regular basis. And all the kids would kind of get put in the room and locked in there. And you just really were curious that one night, and you jumped out of the window and went to go see, and you saw like actual people yelling and fighting. Whether it was the men or the ladies, beating up on each other, and that completely scared you. You climb back into the window and get back in the room. You need to go use the restroom, and you actually see, ladies in the bathroom just really beat up, and you actually see your mom in there. And
girl, I remember her nose was all bloody, and I think she may have had a cut on her eye. But she was just real bloody and crying. And I just I think I was just shocked that I didn't even know how to react. Like I just kind of, it felt like, like in movies when it's like slow motion and you're just kind of walking in and like just taking everything in. Like it was like that. And like, I just remember just seeing them all crying and trying to comfort each other. And it was just, that always gets me kind of emotional, because just to see them just hurt. And I don't really know how it happened or how it all started, but just to see my mom and her friends all hurt like that, it just kind of scared me, I guess.
Yeah. And what does that mean to you as a, just remembering you being that young? Like you said shock and you said fear. Was it like complete, I don't know what's going on and how to change it? Or does it like, just, wondering, or, how did things start progressing from there as you begin to kind of understand what was really going on?
I think like that, when I was shocked, and like I said, I finally opened my eyes to what was going on when we were in my room. Because like that, but I never knew what was happening. It was hidden real well till then. And I think after that, that's when I started getting more, I guess, pushy. Like, no, you're not gonna lock my door, leave my door open. Because like that, like I felt like I needed to already start protecting my mom. Like I need to know what's going on. I need to know what's happening. I need to be sure that she's always gonna be okay. And so that's when I started really seeing, but after that, really seeing what was going on. So, and then, I know what was happening after that. My mom was an alcoholic, and she was drinking all the time. And it was just a real bad time, and it really made me grow up, I think, after that. Just in terms of taking care of my sister and my little brother. And I think that's why, my sisters sees me as in that role. Same with my brother, they see me as a motherly figure because I ended up doing that for them. But I would just, some nights she wouldn't come home, and, we'd just be there. And some nights, I don't know where she's at. And so I would just sit by the window and just look out the window and just kind of pray that, she was okay, that she was going to come home. And I learned all her friends' phone numbers. So I knew all her friends' phone numbers. So when it was late, I would start calling people like, hey, have you seen my mom? Is my mom there? Where is she okay? And so that's when I really started trying to take care of everybody, taking care of my mom and my brother and my sister. But like that, like I did to them, what, my mom probably tried to do with me was hide things. And, so they didn't really see a lot. My sister didn't really, as far as I know, I don't think she saw as much as I did. And my little brother had moved to be with my dad. So he kind of got taken out of the situation as well. So, but I remember this one time, and I always remember this, I just see Kettle as my baby. But he was small. He was probably about maybe between 1 and 2, but he was kind of a big chubby boy.
And Kettle's your little brother?
Yeah, and Kettle's my little brother. And so we're 10 years apart. So if he was like 1 or 2, I was like 11 or 12. But I remember carrying him, and he was crying, and he wouldn't stop crying, and I didn't know how to make him stop crying. And I was just carrying him and holding him, and it was already late. And my mom, we sing this song, I don't know, it's like a lullaby, I guess. And it goes, Ati, baby, baby, baby. And that's all I knew I could do to comfort him, because my mom would sing that to him. And then he just wouldn't stop, and, was singing. And then I just started crying, and I just held him, and we just cried together for a while. That one always brings something back, I get sad. Just because I had to take care of someone who wasn't mine. And I know I didn't know how to help him. I didn't know how to make him stop crying. But, always remember that. And, I'm real close with Kettle. He's my baby. And so that's another memory that gets to me. But, as time went on, it just kind of kept, I don't know if it was getting worse, or if I was just realizing things more, but it just seemed like it kind of got real bad pretty quick. I remember this one time we were in Winslow, and this is when I learned how to drive, but we were in Winslow, me and my sister and my mom. We were at a hotel, and she told us, we're going to spend the night, and we were in a room. And she left us in there. And then I don't know what happened, but in the middle of the night, she woke us up and told us we were leaving. And she was pretty wasted, pretty drunk. And so I drove home. That was my first time driving from Winslow to here. And I remember being small, and I could barely see over the dash, but I was just barely going. And that was my first time driving, and I had to drive us all the way. She was, and it was late. I think it was like 3 a.m. or something. So thankfully, no one was really on the road. But that's something I always remember, that like, I learned how to drive because I had to.
Yeah. So you're here as a junior high, when your eyes begin to open to kind of what was going on. And your mom at the time was, struggling with, trying to be a mom, and then trying to also deal with her addiction in her life. And that put a lot of pressure on you. That put that presented a situation where somebody had to step up, and that was you. And you then took on the role of worrying about not only your siblings, but worrying about your mom's safety. And as a young girl, you stepped into that position. Did it just turn into an extreme worry, or did you start to build up resentment towards your mom for her choices? And what did you begin to kind of carry within yourself as you kind of went through your high school years?
Well, so after that, as we're going up and going from junior high to high school, the worry was still there. Wasn't as extreme. Like I kind of just knew she would be okay, or she would, eventually come home. But by then, I think she knew that we knew, so she would just kind of party at the house. And I used to, I hated reggae. I hated reggae because in Berkeley, you had the reggae nights every Thursday.
Yeah.
And every Thursday there would be a party, or people would come over, and I just hated Thursdays because they'd come over. And I mean, it's not funny now, but like, just, I guess the things that I see happen, it's funny now, I guess, but at that time it wasn't. Just different things. And, I see different people, and I'm like, I kind of laugh, like, I remember, you did this. But, my mom's friends are cool. And, I grew up with them, and they grew up loving me too. And despite, what was going on, they cared for us, and they cared for my sister and my brother. And they still tried to take care of us too, even though they were kind of in that state. But, I just kind of just watched them and make sure that they were okay too. Like, are you okay? Be careful. And you like that. Like I started telling them, you just spend the night, because I don't want you to be driving. But I always remember some mornings, my mom wouldn't wake up for a while. And me and my sister, Boo Boo, would take turns going in to check on her to make sure she was still breathing. And we would put our finger under her nose to make sure she was breathing, or we'd lay by her and watch her chest to see if it was still going up and down, just to make sure she was still, I guess, alive, because, she'd be sleeping for a long time and she wouldn't wake up. And it's like, go check on her. And so we would go check on her to make sure she was okay. But as I got older and started getting to high school, I did start building resentment towards my mom. And I think probably around then, probably my sophomore, junior years, when I started getting like real angry at her. When she would drink, I would, just kind of start arguing with her and just start getting, I don't know, like that. Like I was just angry, and I didn't tell anybody, so no one knew. But when I was home, I was a pretty angry person. And I would just, and then that's when I started drinking too in high school, because, I felt like she doesn't care. She doesn't care what I do. She doesn't care that I'm going to do this. Like, and so I would drink and then go home like that. And she would see me, and I'm just like, well, what are you going to do? Like, you're not going to do anything. You do the same thing. And so in high school, I did start drinking probably quite a bit. And it wasn't because like I really wanted to. It was just more or less like to throw it back in my mom's face, like I can do it too, and like you take care of me now, kind of thing. And like I felt like I didn't really hide it. Like I just kind of would just show up and be drunk. And but yeah, I got real angry, and that's when she started kicking me out of my house, or her house, I guess. And we would just fight all the time, and she would just kick me out, and I'd just be walking around. And I actually want to tell one thing that happened when we were small. I was going to bring it up, but I forgot. But with Kiddo, this was probably when then he was a baby. He was only with us when he was a baby. Then after that, that's when he moved with my dad. But I remember my aunts and my saya, because we live at San Clan, so our houses are all right by each other. And I remember one time, or they would tell us, if things are bad, just come over, and it'll be okay. And so, but we never did, except for this one time. I was like, okay, we're gonna go, and she wasn't home then. And this is we kind of laugh about it now, but because it was dark and she wasn't home, and I was like, come on guys, we're gonna go to Sayas or to Mama A's. So I got Kiddo, and he was big, he was a big boy, and I was like that, like 11, 12 years old, trying to carry this big baby, and we're running in the bushes. And my mom was pulling up, and we were really trying to hide from her. Like, we were really trying to run away. And we're like running through the bushes and trying to hide from her. And I'm carrying this big baby, and we're like running. And we finally get to my Saya's house, and she wasn't home. And we're like, okay, so let's go to the other aunt's house. So we went to her house, and she wasn't home either. And we went to the other aunt's house, and she wasn't home. And I was just like, they're not even home. And so we went back to my Saya's house, and we were really trying to break into her house, but like that, we were small. And so, okay, well, I guess we'll go back home then. And so we walked back home. And but like that, she didn't even she didn't know we were gone. She didn't know we were missing. And now she's like, oh, well, where were you guys at? Like she didn't. I don't think she knew we weren't home. And but we always kind of laugh about that, because that's something that Boo Boo remembers too. Like, remember when we were trying to run away and no one was home? We didn't know. But that's something funny that I like to think about too.
Yeah. And sometimes, right, I mean, it sounds like in any situation you have you taking care of your younger siblings, and you're pretty building up resentment to the point of where it's kind of built into anger, in the point of like, you're doing this, so I'm going to do this. And a lot of conflicts, and, that's happening in the course throughout high school. And now you're in the point of, is it, is this where things get worse? I mean, is this the point where things, hit rock bottom for your mom or for you? Does it get to that point yet?
I think, yeah, this is probably about the time where me and her just, we just couldn't get along anymore like that. Like, she was kicking me out constantly, and, I just was angry at her. And I just didn't understand how she couldn't see that she was hurting us and she was hurting me. And so I really, this is like probably like that breaking point, I guess, to where I finally just had enough. So it was always this one time, I guess. But what had happened was, I had just got back home. Like, I finally moved back to wherever I was, and they were partying, and I remember I opened the door, and my sister, like I said, I was trying to hide my sister. And I think at that point too, my sister was getting angry too and being resentful as well. And so I remember a situation had happened, and my sister opened the door, and she ran towards my mom, and my mom she started getting mad at her, getting mad at my sister. And I walked to the couch, and I was just sitting there watching, because I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. I just finally moved back in. I don't want to get kicked back out again. And so, but then she started yelling at my sister, yelling at her. And that's what triggered me and got me upset. And I just said all kind of stuff to her. And I remember I was just yelling at her, and she was yelling back at me. And I stood on top of the couch, and I was on top of the couch, and I was looking down at her, and I was yelling at her. And I remember her friends, were crying, and they were trying to pull me down, trying to tell me, or trying to comfort me, and I guess de-escalate the situation. And but I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. I said some things that I shouldn't have said. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be your daughter. You don't love me, and things like that. And so I went and I got the phone, and I called my Saya. I dialed her number, and it was ringing. And so at my mom's old house, there was a hallway like this, and the phone was in the hall. And so I had the phone, and I was talking, or I didn't talk it, I was ringing. And she must have answered, because then my mom started yelling at me, and I started yelling back at my mom. And I think she heard us yelling at each other. But when my mom was yelling at me, I just grabbed that phone and I threw it at my mom. And this is when, like, I actually started to physically try and, you know, hit her sometimes and like that, like throw things at her, because, you know, I was just so angry. But I just got that phone and I threw it at her. And I remember someone came up behind me in the hallway and put their arms around me. And I know I just started, because at this time I was, you know, in martial arts already. And I remember someone grabbed me from behind, and I just jumped up and I turned to, you know, punch them, whoever, because I was just mad. But the wall was right here. So when I turned and punched, I hit the wall instead. And then they let go of me, but I was still like mad. So I turned to like try and kick them. And then I kicked this side of the wall. I made a big hole in there. And by then my Saya had showed up, and she's like, "Come on, Hollie, let's go." And I was mad, and I was like, "Come on, boo boo." I was crying, "Let's go, boo boo, let's go." She's like, "You mean you don't want to go?" And she's like, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here with mom to make sure she's okay. And I was like, I did, like I was mad in my head. I was thinking, like, I did this because she was yelling at you. Like, if she wasn't yelling at you, you know, I wouldn't have gotten mad, and, you know, I'm getting kicked out again. So I started blaming her, like, I'm getting kicked out for you. Like, come on, let's go. But she didn't want to go. She's like, no, I'm gonna stay here, and I want to make sure mom's okay. So by then, you know, she was already taking on that role of taking care of my mom too. And so, and it was just like a real bad experience. Like, I think that night I just kind of let everything out, like all my anger and all my words. And so I went to school that next day. And I have one teacher who, you know, I'm still best friends with. And at that time, you know, I didn't know the rules. And, you know, as a teacher, you're supposed to have. But, you know, I told her everything that was happening. And, you know, I really broke down to her and told her, you know, this is happening. You know, my mom kicks me out, and she drinks and this and that. And then later on, they pulled me out, and, you know, she did a scan. You know, like now as a teacher, I know, you know, you do scans when you feel a child's in danger. And I was mad. I was mad at her. I was mad at my teacher because she told, and I was like, you're not supposed to tell, you know, I don't want you to tell. I didn't want anyone to know. But they did a scan, and they told me that the police would show up, and they would probably go to the house and this and that. And so she's like, okay, so like, what did I do now? Like I didn't want that to happen. And so I went home, and I always remember walking in the door, and because I just went over just to tell her, you know, what happened. And but she was still drunk. She was still drunk sitting at the table. I always remember that. I walked in, and she was just drunk. Like, she don't even remember what had happened. She didn't remember anything, it seemed. And I was just like, God, you're still drunk. Like, you don't even know what you did. You don't even know what's gonna happen. You know, the police are gonna come, and I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, and you're still like this. But she, I don't know, maybe she was just at that point where she just didn't understand, or she just didn't care. I don't know. But I was just so angry, and I just left. But I don't think anything happened, not that I know of. Like, I don't know if anybody showed up or what. I don't know if I've never asked her if anybody did, but I just remember that was kind of my mom and myself that was probably like the worst time out of our relationship. And yesterday, driving to my mom's, I was thinking about this time, and, you know, I felt bad because, you know, I really messed up her house just because I was angry. You know, I would just break things. And I remember she had a car. She had a new car, and she came home drunk, and I just started kicking it. I just dented her door in, and because I was just so angry, and maybe I was just taking it out on the things that I thought she cared about, and so I was just physically, breaking things, her house, and I like yesterday I felt bad, I really messed up her house, just hitting things or kicking holes in the wall, but I was just angry and I didn't know how else to be, and I only hit her one time. I always feel bad about that, but I don't think I hit her hard, but we were standing on the steps and she was drunk and she was just saying stuff to me, and I was just mad, and I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to justify it, but I just kind of like hit her and tried to like push her away like that. And I think she might have remembered that, because after that she would bring it up like, you hit me. And I'm like, and I always feel bad about that, because, you shouldn't hit your mom. But I was just so angry at her that, I didn't know what else to do, or, what am I supposed to do to help you realize that, I'm hurting too. And it was just a real bad time during that time. But I think after that happened, I just kind of stopped, because I think I got maybe depressed for a while, and I just kind of, I guess just to protect myself, I just kind of stopped caring about her, I guess, maybe. And that's, when I was drinking a lot and just coming home drunk and, not really caring anymore. And, but I knew I couldn't be like that for some reason. Like I knew I couldn't be like her, because I had my sister and I had my brother, and I just knew. So around that time is when she got pregnant. She got pregnant with my younger sister, Joy, with her boyfriend. He's still her boyfriend now, but and I remember just being so angry. Like I didn't want anything to do with, the baby, because not necessarily taking out on the baby, but just because I didn't want that baby to grow up like how we grew up, like she wasn't able to take care of another baby. And maybe it was because like I don't want to take care of another baby. Like I felt like maybe I already put that responsibility on myself. Like I don't want to take care of another baby. But so around that time, that's when we had moved out of the house, because they were gonna rebuild her house. And so during that time, I think maybe it kind of, I don't know if it settled down, but just me being around that environment kind of settled down, because I was living with my saya then, and she and Chris, her boyfriend, and were living in Jericho at the apartments. They got her apartments over there. So around that time, I don't really know if things were still, like that. They probably were, but, I just wasn't around it. Me and my sister were living in San Cloud with my saya. But like I said, this was around the time when she got pregnant. And like that, like I was kind of like resentful towards it, like the pregnancy. But, when she had the baby, I remember we were at a basketball game. And I don't know who she called. It was probably my aunt, maybe my aunt on her cell phone. And she saw, your mom's at the hospital. She's going to have the baby. I think she already had the baby. Trying to think. No, she didn't have. She was going to have the baby. And she was already telling me that she wanted me to name her. And so I didn't know what to name her. And she kind of put that on me, like, I want you to name her. And maybe it was just her way of kind of bringing me around to the baby and whatnot. And so I was really thinking, I said, okay, well, so I named her Joylyn. And why I named her Joylyn was because it was real bad. So I felt that her coming, she would bring joy to us. And then, so that's why she's named Joylyn. She was going to bring joy back to our family. And then I named her Faith, Joylyn Faith, because I felt that she was the faith that I needed, that we needed to get my mom better, that my mom would, change for her. Because, she didn't change for us. And so I named her Joylyn Faith because, I thought, because she was going to be, that thing my mom needed to make herself better. And so when I went to the hospital, I remember my mom holding her, and I went to her and I told her, your name's Joylyn, and I explained to her why I named her that. And when I just realized when I talk about my siblings is when I get emotional. But then she was born, and things, my mom's an addict, so she didn't stop right away like how I kind of thought it would happen, because she wasn't drinking when she was pregnant. But by then the houses were built, and so we moved back. I wasn't even there for long. It was my senior year, and I only lived there for a little bit. It didn't seem that long, but I had planned to go to Yavapai College. I really wanted to go to Harvard. That was my school. That's what I really wanted to go to. But under all the circumstances, I felt that I couldn't go. I can't go. I can't go there. I can't leave you guys. I can't be that far away from you guys. And so I didn't go. But I ended up going to Yavapai College and in Prescott, and even that night that I was supposed to leave on this one Saturday, and that Friday my mom didn't come home, and I was just like, I can't go. Like, I can't trust her. I can't trust her to take care of you guys. Like, I can't go. And so I was already trying to talk myself into just staying. So I remember calling, trying to find her. By then I was driving, and I would drive and kind of knew where she would hang out, and so I would go to all these places, but she wasn't there, and I was just like, I can't go. And I went to get my saya. My saya went with me to go look for her, and I was telling her already that, saya, I'm not gonna go. I can't go. I can't go to college. And she was like, you're gonna go. You're gonna go. You just go, and you don't worry about them. We'll take care of them. We'll take care of them for you. You don't have to worry about them. You just go. And so she was the one who kind of, I guess, reassured me that they'll be taken care of. And so we ended up finding her at this house, and she had Joy. And so I just took Joy and I just left. Then eventually she came back that next day, and then that's when I went to Yavapai. But I almost didn't go. But, she told me to go, and that she would take care of them. But me and my mom always, now we joke, you always see those memes about 100 tacos or something, those Jack in the Box tacos. Have you seen those?
No.
Oh, sometimes anyways, I remember this one time we were in Flag. I don't know, maybe we were at a concert or something, but I I was the driver, and she was drunk, and she's like, I'm hungry. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want? So she's like, let's go to Jack in the Box. So we went over there, and I was like leaning like this, and she was like over me like this ordering. And that guy comes on. He's like, what do you want? Or can I take your order? And she's like, I want 50 tacos. I was like, what? She's like, I want 50 tacos. I was like, okay. And so we got her 50 tacos. So she probably only ate like 2 home. And then I put it in the fridge, and that next morning she opened up the fridge. She's like, it's where all these tacos come from. I'm like, you ordered them, but it's something we laugh about now. And so like when I think it's 50, but she says it was 100 tacos. She got 100 tacos. I'm like, no, I think it was 50. But so around that time, that's when I did go to Yavapai, and like that, like I guess maybe enjoying the freedom, like not having to take care of anybody, I didn't do good. I just kind of drank and hung out, and, I like that, like I didn't know how to take care of myself because, I was always taking care of somebody else. And so I was only there for a semester.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up moving to Flagstaff. And I had met my daughter's dad at that time. And so throughout that time, my mom got better. She's a recovering alcoholic. She tells me, she'll always be an alcoholic. Even though she doesn't drink, she's always going to be an alcoholic. And it was because of Joy. Joy is the one who helped her. And, I don't want to tell how because, that's kind of her story. But I didn't know for a long time until finally I asked her, like, why did you stop drinking? Like, what happened? And she just told me that, it was because of Joy, and so I really believe, that, Joy made her better. Took a while, but when it came down to it was Joy. And so I know before, because I think I was real angry for a while still, even though she got better, I was still kind of resentful towards my mom.
Yeah.
We weren't, I would just kind of snap back at her, or she would tell me something and I would just kind of, I guess, not be the nicest person to her, because I wasn't, I guess, maybe okay or better from everything that had happened. So
yeah, we're at that time where you're still carrying the thoughts of you don't care for me, you don't love me, which I know you said came up, being that was how you looked at your mom for so long, was you don't care for me, you don't care about us, and you never changed for us. So at this time in your life, were you still carrying that? Because right now you're someone who's gone through high school and gone through all the situations, experiences of being around your mom, being around the parties, being around the conflicts where you were being, you had all this anger pent up and you knew how to express it physically. And I was actually coming out in more conflicts, and then you eventually reach the end of high school, you're ready to move into your college transition. And are you still feeling that towards your mom of you don't care for me? Are you still blaming her for how you're feeling?
Yeah, I was like that for a long time. Yeah, like and I think at that point too, because by then or around that time I didn't know why my mom changed, but I think I felt jealous. I kind of felt jealous towards Joy too. just because my mom changed for her, and she didn't change for me, she didn't change for my sister, she didn't change for my brother. Like, were we not good enough? Were we not, did you not love us enough? That's why you couldn't change for us. So I think around that time when she started, recovering, I started feeling jealous towards my sister. And, but I wouldn't treat her anyway, but that was just an internal conflict that I had. Like God, like what was wrong with me? That's why you couldn't change for me. What was wrong with me? That's why you couldn't love me enough to do that for me, So it was like that. Like, I was just kind of resentful towards her too. Like, why couldn't you see the good in me to do that? And I think that's why academically and sports wise, me and my sister really tried hard, I'm gonna get all A's, so that way, maybe that will be it. Maybe that will help her. Oh, my daughters are so smart, let me change for them. Or my daughter's so good in this sport, let me change for her. And so for me and her, I feel that we pushed ourselves trying to be enough for her, so that way she'll realize, like, I have good kids, I should change for them. But it didn't work out that way. But it helped us, we were pretty smart. My sister was valedictorian for her class, and I wasn't valedictorian, but I graduated top 10. I was good. I was athletic. And so I know around in high school, when I was still trying to prove, even though, I was mad, getting drunk and doing things I shouldn't be doing, I was still trying to prove to her that I'm still good enough. So a lot of my high school, it was just a lot of like that internal conflict, like I don't care, I'm just gonna do this, but I do care. I love my mom. I want her to love me. I want her to change for me, but she's not changing for you, just do whatever you want. And so I was constantly, fighting with myself inside. And then on top of that, I wasn't sharing what was going on. I was always the happy friend. I was always the one that was laughing or, making jokes. And because that was just who I was. And maybe it was just a way for me to kind of cover up what was really happening, because I guess at the time, you don't want people to know what's going on. You don't want people to, talk about you like that. So, you learn to hide things. And, I think that was my way of hiding it, was, just being this happy, bubbly person. And, I don't think a lot of people knew what was going on besides, like my real close friends. Mm. And so I always relate to that when people say, check on your happy friends too, because, they look happy, but you never really know what they're trying to hide. They say the happiest people can hide things the easiest. And so I was that person. And so even now, sometimes, when I get stressed, I just I don't really like to share things like that, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I grew up, with that happy, and maybe that's why it's easy for me like that to do TikToks and stuff, because, that's just who I am. And probably at the beginning it was just to help me hide things, but it slowly, this is my personality now. So. Mm-hmm.
And you're, at this point, you've met your oldest daughter's father, and you're in a point where you're trying to figure out what you're trying to do with your life, and trying to find amends with the feelings that you're feeling towards your mom and your parents. Your dad was in the picture, was he, or did they separate early on?
I know I didn't really talk about him. He was there, they did separate when I was, I can't really remember what age, but they had separated, and he was living in Tuba City. So during my high school, and I remember, and he did come one time, because I don't know why, I just didn't want to tell him what was going on. Like, I just didn't want him to know. But one time, I when she did kick me out, one time I did call him and tell him, that, she kicked me out, and he was there with me in a flash. Like, he just dropped everything and came and was there for me. But he, like I said, he lived in Tuba City, and so me and my sister would ride the bus all the way to Tuba in the morning, and then we would spend the night and then come back. And I remember that was pretty tiring. But my dad was really focused, I think, on the martial arts, on Taekwondo during that time. So we were introduced to that when I was probably around maybe 6 or 7. And it was my sister, Boo Boo, the one who wanted, because she's a tomboy. And so she's all into that she was into that kind of stuff. And so when they signed her up, they made me sign. I didn't want to do it, but they made me do it too. And I'm just like, I don't want to do it. And so that's always my thing. Like, I didn't even want to do this. Like, how come I'm doing this? But we had started, and my dad really took to it. And he really started studying it. And I know they have their issues, my mom and dad, behind closed doors, but I don't. What makes me happy is that despite that, they always still manage to come together for us. I know my mom sometimes gets upset, like, because we'll take up for him. I don't know why we take up for him, but we always take up for him. And she's like, you guys always take up for him. How come you guys always take up for him? I was like, I don't know, but we do. So around that time, my dad was really focused into martial arts, and we had started doing that. And so by then my mom and dad were still together. And I remember we went to South Korea. I think maybe I was like 10. I was little, but they raised money and they sent me and my sister to South Korea with this group. And I'm like, now that I think about it, like, I would never send my kids to South Korea by themselves. Like, are you crazy? They sent us there. And, that's something that I always carry with me too, that experience, going, and we lived with the monks. For about a week, I think we were up there with the monks in the mountains. And that was always a cool experience because they just really so respectful. And I was little then, but just seeing their demeanor, how they went about things, and they just cared about everything. And they eat a certain way. I always talk about that, the way they eat, because we had to practice how to eat with them that night before. So you would get a tray, and then I think there's like 4 compartments. So you get your rice, your kimchi, and then I guess whatever else I can give you. But so you had to eat everything. And by then, around that time, me and my sister, we couldn't eat spicy food, and Korean food's almost all spicy. But they said, like, they were telling us, they're like really getting after us, like, you're gonna have to eat it, you have to eat everything. And we're like, okay. And so we had to practice. So you eat all your food, and then after you eat your food, then they come around with a cup of water and they pour it on your tray, and then you use that water and you kind of wash your tray, and then you drink that water. And then they come around with another cup and pour it in. And then you do it again. I think you maybe do it like 3 or 4 times when you drink it after each time. And the last time, though, they pour the water and you do it, but then you pour it into a bucket. And then they check that bucket to make sure it's super clean. Like, there should be nothing in there. It should just be all water. So I remember being so scared eating that next morning. I was like, I hope I'm doing it right. I'm really trying to. And then like that, I didn't want to drink my water, because it kind of looked gross, but I'm like, oh, they're gonna make me drink, because they told me that if you don't, then you have to drink that big old thing of water. And I was like, I'm not gonna. So I was really trying to make myself drink that, but that's always an experience I'll always remember too. And so, you know, despite everything that was happening, you know, I know my parents did everything they could to make sure that I gained a lot of experience in other ways like that, sending me to South Korea. I actually went twice. The second time I went, I tested for my black belt. And so I got my black belt there in South Korea. So I always say, I'm legit. Just kidding.